It's a question countless husbands have asked themselves after years, sometimes decades, of being together. What started as love, laughter, and excitement slowly turns into cold silences, passive-aggressive remarks, or outright frustration. The woman who once adored you now seems distant, irritated, or emotionally checked out. But why? What causes this shift? Is it the natural course of marriage, or is there something deeper at play? Many men assume it's just stress, routine, or even a phase. But for countless couples, it's more than that. It's an accumulation of unspoken words, unmet needs, and silent disappointments that build over time. If you've ever felt like your wife no longer looks at you the same way she used to, if her patience has worn thin, and the warmth in her eyes seems replaced by frustration, you're not alone. But understanding why this happens is the first step toward change. In this video, we'll break down the real reasons why some wives grow increasingly frustrated with their husbands and what you can do to turn things around before it's too late. Number 1. Emotional neglect in marriage. The silent distance that grows. Over time, marriage is often built on love, connection, and companionship. In the early years, couples engage in deep conversations, share their dreams, and make each other feel valued. But as time passes, many wives find themselves feeling unheard, unseen, and emotionally disconnected. This is what we call emotional neglect, a slow, silent erosion of intimacy that leaves a woman feeling lonely, even when her husband is right beside her. At first, it happens subtly. Conversations that once lasted for hours become brief exchanges about schedules, errands, and responsibilities. The affectionate words, thoughtful gestures, and shared laughter start to fade. Over time, a wife may begin to feel as though she is simply existing in the relationship rather than actively participating in a meaningful partnership. She may go to bed feeling unimportant, wake up feeling unseen, and go through the motions of daily life feeling emotionally abandoned. One of the biggest misconceptions about emotional neglect is that it only happens when there is open conflict or hostility. But in reality, it often occurs in quiet ways. A husband may not be intentionally ignoring his wife. He may still provide for the family, fulfill his duties, and even believe that everything is fine. But if he stops truly seeing her, listening to her, or engaging with her on a deeper level, she will begin to feel alone in the marriage. A woman who feels unheard may eventually stop expressing herself. She may suppress her thoughts, hold back her feelings, and convince herself that her emotions don't matter. When conversations become purely transactional, focused only on logistics, children, finances, or daily routines, the emotional connection starts to fade. A wife longs for meaningful engagement, for moments when she can express her worries, dreams, and desires without feeling like she is being brushed off or ignored. If her husband consistently dismisses her concerns, tunes her out, or only responds with minimal effort, she will start to feel like she is talking to a wall. Over time, emotional neglect can create deep resentment. A wife who once felt adored and cherished may begin to question whether her husband still values her. She may stop initiating conversations, withdraw emotionally, or even start seeking validation elsewhere, through friends, social media, or unhealthy coping mechanisms. The marriage, once filled with warmth, turns cold. The house feels more like a shared living space than a loving home. Many men do not realize they are emotionally neglecting their wives until it's too late. They assume that because there is no major conflict, everything is fine. But emotional neglect is not about arguments. It's about absence. It's about failing to show up in the ways that matter. Rebuilding emotional connection requires intentional effort, listening without distractions, asking thoughtful questions, showing affection, and making your wife feel valued. Small moments of deep connection can repair years of emotional distance, because at the heart of every marriage, what truly matters is not just being present, but being emotionally present. Number 2, lack of appreciation in marriage. The silent frustration that leads to resentment. Marriage is built on love, partnership, and mutual effort. In the beginning, couples express their appreciation for each other frequently through words, gestures, and acts of kindness. But as time goes on, many husbands unknowingly take their wives for granted. The small, everyday contributions she makes, whether in managing the home, caring for children, supporting his dreams, or simply being a source of emotional stability, start to go unnoticed. When appreciation fades, frustration begins to build, and over time, it can turn into deep resentment. A wife who feels unappreciated may start questioning her role in the marriage. She might wonder if her efforts even matter. She wakes up early to take care of the family, organizes meals, remembers important dates, keeps the house running smoothly, and supports her husband emotionally. Yet, if these efforts are met with silence or indifference, it creates a painful sense of invisibility. She may feel like she is constantly giving but receiving little in return. Many husbands assume that because their wives continue to do these things, they must be fine. But what they don't realize is that love isn't just about doing, it's about being seen and valued. A simple thank you or acknowledgement can go a long way. A wife doesn't want to feel like an employee completing endless tasks. She wants to feel cherished and recognized for her role in the relationship. The lack of appreciation often happens gradually. In the early years, husbands may praise their wives for cooking a delicious meal, planning a thoughtful surprise, or supporting them through a difficult time. But as marriage settles into routine, these moments of gratitude become less frequent. What was once special now becomes expected. A wife may not complain at first, but over time, the lack of acknowledgement starts to weigh on her heart. When appreciation disappears, frustration takes its place. A woman who once gave freely and lovingly may begin to withdraw. She may stop putting in effort, not because she doesn't care, but because she feels like it doesn't matter anymore. She might begin to resent the imbalance. Why is she constantly thinking about her husband's needs when he doesn't seem to notice hers? This resentment can lead to emotional distance, reduced intimacy, and an overall sense of dissatisfaction in the marriage. Some husbands don't realize the damage until it's too late. They assume their wife is just moody or complaining, but in reality, she's expressing years of unmet emotional needs. She isn't looking for grand gestures, she just wants to know that what she does is valued. Fixing this issue doesn't require extravagant gifts or elaborate apologies. It requires consistent appreciation. A heartfelt compliment, a simple thank you, a moment of recognition. When a husband makes his wife feel seen and valued, it strengthens the emotional bond and reignites the love that may have been buried under years of routine. Because at the end of the day, feeling appreciated isn't just a desire, it's a fundamental need in every relationship. Number 3. Unequal responsibilities in marriage, the silent burden many wives carry. Marriage is meant to be a partnership where both spouses share the responsibilities of daily life. But in many households, the reality is far from equal. Women often carry the mental and emotional load of managing the home, taking care of children, and handling daily tasks, all while balancing work, personal goals, and emotional support for their husband. When a husband is disengaged or unaware of this imbalance, it can leave his wife feeling overburdened, exhausted, and unappreciated. This imbalance is more than just an issue of who does what. It's about the unseen weight that many wives carry every single day. It's not just cooking dinner. It's remembering what groceries need to be bought, planning meals for the week, and ensuring everyone's dietary needs are met. It's not just putting kids to bed. It's keeping track of doctor's appointments, school events, extracurricular activities, and making sure they have everything they need. Even in homes where both spouses work, women are often expected to take on the majority of household and childcare duties, while their husbands assume their contribution is complete after work hours. Over time, this imbalance creates deep frustration. A wife who constantly has to remind her husband to help with tasks may start feeling like a manager rather than a partner. She may feel like she's carrying the weight of the entire household while her husband is simply a bystander. This emotional and mental load can lead to burnout, resentment, and even feelings of isolation in her own marriage. Many husbands don't realize this is happening. They might assume that because their wife doesn't explicitly ask for help, she's fine handling everything. But the truth is, many women don't want to ask. They want their husbands to notice. They want their partner to take initiative, to step up without being reminded, to recognize the exhausting cycle they are trapped in. When a wife constantly has to delegate tasks instead of sharing them equally, it creates an emotional gap. She may start feeling like her husband is another person she has to manage rather than a true partner in the marriage. If she expresses frustration and is met with defensiveness or indifference, it only deepens her resentment. The good news is, this issue can be fixed. It starts with awareness. Husbands must recognize the invisible labor their wives are carrying and take proactive steps to share the responsibilities. This means asking, "What can I take off your plate today?" Or simply noticing what needs to be done and doing it without being told. A balanced partnership is not about keeping score, it's about mutual effort. When a husband truly steps up and shares the mental and emotional load, it not only lightens his wife's burden, but also strengthens their bond. Because when a woman feels supported, valued, and truly partnered with, she doesn't just feel less stressed, she feels more deeply connected and loved in her marriage. Number 4. Routine and boredom in marriage. The silent drift that creates emotional distance. In the beginning, relationships are filled with excitement, passion, and deep connection. Couples go out of their way to make each other feel special, engaging in long conversations, romantic gestures, and spontaneous adventures. But as the years go by, life settles into routine. Responsibilities take priority, stress piles up, and, without realizing it, both partners stop putting in the effort that once made their relationship feel alive. What was once thrilling and intimate now feels predictable and mundane. This slow shift can lead to emotional distance, making a marriage feel more like a routine partnership than a loving connection. The problem isn't just that routines exist, they are necessary for stability. The real issue arises when couples get stuck in them, when they stop creating new experiences, stop engaging in meaningful conversations, and stop making an effort to grow together. Date nights become rare. Deep talks are replaced with short exchanges about schedules and responsibilities. And intimacy becomes a predictable habit rather than a moment of connection. Over time, this emotional stagnation can make a marriage feel dull, leading one or both partners to feel unfulfilled. For many wives, this shift is painful. A woman who once felt cherished and pursued may now feel invisible in her own marriage. She may long for the days when her husband would surprise her, listen to her with undivided attention, or plan something special just for the two of them. Instead, she finds herself in a routine where the most exciting conversation of the day is about what's for dinner. She may start to wonder, does he still see me the way he used to? Does he still desire me? Do I even excite him anymore? These unspoken thoughts can create an emotional gap that only grows wider over time. Husbands often don't realize the impact of routine boredom until it's too late. They assume that as long as there are no major conflicts, everything is fine. But a lack of excitement, romance, and deep connection can be just as damaging as constant arguments. When a marriage becomes stagnant, it creates a breeding ground for frustration, loneliness, and even resentment. Some partners might seek fulfillment elsewhere, not necessarily through infidelity, but through friendships, hobbies, or distractions that provide the emotional engagement missing in their relationship. The good news is that breaking free from routine doesn't require grand gestures or expensive trips. It starts with intentional effort. Husbands and wives must make a conscious choice to keep their relationship vibrant. This means bringing back the small things, leaving a thoughtful note, planning an unexpected date night, asking deep questions, or simply setting aside time to reconnect without distractions. A healthy marriage thrives on continuous effort, curiosity, and shared experiences. When both partners commit to keeping their love alive, the relationship transforms from a dull routine into a lifelong adventure. Because at the end of the day, love isn't just about staying together, it's about growing together. Number 5, unresolved conflicts in marriage, the silent resentment that creates emotional distance. Conflict is a natural part of any relationship, but when issues go unresolved, they don't just disappear, they linger, grow, and turn into deep-seated resentment. What starts as small disagreements over responsibilities, communication, or unmet needs can eventually create an emotional wall between a husband and wife. If a woman feels like her concerns are constantly dismissed, minimized, or left unaddressed, frustration builds, and over time, she may emotionally withdraw from the marriage. Many couples assume that if they stop arguing about an issue, it means the problem has been solved. But silence does not equal resolution. A wife who expresses her feelings only to be met with avoidance, defensiveness, or indifference may stop bringing things up altogether. She may think, what's the point? He's never going to listen. He's never going to change. But just because she stops voicing her frustrations doesn't mean they're gone. She's simply burying them, allowing them to fester beneath the surface. Unresolved conflicts create emotional distance. A wife who once felt safe expressing herself may begin to shut down. She may start feeling like she's always walking on eggshells, avoiding certain topics to prevent another pointless argument. She might withdraw from intimacy, stop engaging in meaningful conversations, or focus her energy elsewhere, on work, children, or friendships, because her marriage no longer feels like a place of understanding. Over time, these lingering frustrations can turn into passive resentment. A wife may start feeling bitter about things her husband doesn't even realize are still an issue. She might bring up past hurts in unrelated arguments, hold on to grudges, or feel constantly irritated by even small things he does. The deeper the resentment, the harder it becomes to reconnect, and a once loving marriage starts feeling cold, distant, and disconnected. Many husbands don't recognize the damage unresolved conflicts cause. They may believe their wife has moved on from an issue simply because she stopped bringing it up. But in reality, unresolved pain doesn't disappear. It just hides beneath the surface, waiting for another moment of frustration to bring it all back. A single careless remark or action can trigger years of buried resentment, turning what should have been a minor disagreement into an explosive argument. The key to preventing unresolved conflicts from destroying a marriage is true resolution, not avoidance, not temporary peace, but genuine understanding and healing. This means actively listening, validating each other's feelings, and working together to find a solution. A wife doesn't need her husband to be perfect, but she does need to feel heard, valued, and respected. When both partners commit to addressing conflicts with honesty, patience, and empathy, it strengthens their bond rather than breaking it. Because in a healthy marriage, disagreements aren't avoided, they are worked through together. And when a woman feels truly understood and supported, she doesn't withdraw. She leans in with love and trust, knowing her marriage is a place where both her voice and her heart matter. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the channel.